Before we get started today, don't forget to tie back your long hair and get your hands washed. Hello, coming at you today with a very easy and quick recipe for you. It was one I came across online from the Family Dinner Project. So a quick little plug for the Family Dinner Project. If you've never heard of them, you absolutely have to check them out. And now is the perfect time since most of us are stuck at home and cooking a lot of dinner. The Family Dinner Project was created back in 2010, and the goal for them is just to have people all over the world sit down and eat together as a family, because there's been many studies done that have shown the many benefits of sitting together and eating as a family. So the Family Dinner Project is a wonderful resource. You can find them online at thefamilydinnerproject.org. You can find them on Twitter and other social media as well. So please go ahead and follow them, or at least check out their website, because they have really great information out there for you. There's fun dinner conversation starters, so if you're having trouble and not sure what to talk about with your kids, they have some great conversation starters and different games and different things that you can do while you're sitting down and eating as a family. It doesn't just have to be sitting down and staring at each other. You should be talking to each other and conversing. So the recipe that I found from them was for, I want to get the name right, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but it's breakfast tostadas. Very easy and simple to do, and I realized as I was gathering ingredients that it's a really great way to use up some things that you might normally have leftovers of. So your recipe is 4 flour tortillas, use whole wheat for extra nutrition, 1.5 cups shredded Monterey Jack or cheddar cheese, 4 large eggs, 2 avocados, and salsa for topping. And then your directions are to preheat the oven to 425, lay the tortillas on a baking sheet, make a mound of cheese in the middle of each tortilla, then form the cheese into a ring with a depression in the center. Carefully crack an egg into the depression in each mound of cheese. The cheese will hold the egg in place and keep it from spreading. Bake the tostadas at 425 degrees for 10 to 15 minutes or until the cheese is melted. The tortillas are crispy and the eggs are your desired level of firmness. Then you can top each tostada with sliced avocado and salsa and serve warm. So very basic ingredients. I realized as I was pulling things out, one, this is a great way to use up all of your shredded cheeses that you might have. I know that we acquire a lot in our house, and sometimes it gets down to the bottom and we're not really using them. So I have a combination of pizza cheese, cheddar cheese, and mozzarella cheese that I'm using today. And the other thing is my husband and I love tacos, but we usually have a ton of tortillas left over. Not a ton, but a few. And we never really end up using them, so they oftentimes go in the garbage. I hate to say it, but this is a great way to reuse or to use up the extra tortillas you might have from tacos. So I have my baking sheet here. I have already preheated my oven. It is preheated and ready to go. So the first thing that we're going to do is just take our tortillas, and I am using whole wheat. It's a great way to get in that extra nutrition instead of just using regular white tortillas. I'm going to maneuver these. They're pretty big. If you have smaller ones, it's probably a little easier. Onto our baking sheet here. Good thing I pulled out my big one. It's okay if they overlap a little bit because it's not all going to go. Okay, so I have my tortillas laid out here. So the next thing is to make a mound of cheese in the middle of each. So it's 1.5 cups of cheese. So I have my homemade cheese blend here. I have 1/3 of a cup, measuring cup here. So I'm just gonna scoop it out and put a mound of cheese in the middle of each one. Okay, so I don't know how well you can see that. There we go. So I have a mound in each. I still have some cheese in my bowl, so I'm just going to add just a smidge more to each one. All right, right, so after I had retweeted this recipe on Twitter and had made a comment on the family dinner project, they told me that the hardest part about all of this was just making sure that you had a nice ring in the middle of your cheese. So now that each of the tortillas have cheese, we now need to spread it out so it kind of looks like a donut. The cheese should be in the shape of a donut, but they told me that the tricky part is just making sure that it's stable enough, because when you crack the egg inside, you want it to stay in the middle and you don't want it to be spreading out. So fingers crossed that this works. So I'm just going to spread out the cheese. Remember to have washed your hands. My hands are clean, so it's okay that I'm using my fingers here. Just spread it out a little bit in the middle, because that's where you're going to crack your egg. And like I said, hopefully, I've never done these before, so we'll see how it goes. I'll crack one and hope for the best. But it should stay in the center. Just have a nice, I guess you want to have higher up edges too, so it's holds all of the egg. All right, so I don't want to turn this too much, but you can kind of get the point and see how I now have a nice hole in the middle of each. So let me go grab my eggs because I forgot to grab them. All right, here goes nothing. So we have our egg, and we're just gonna carefully crack it right into the middle there. And for the most part, it's stuck. So let me get all of these and then I'll show you how it goes. Actually, this one looks pretty good, so let me show you how this one goes, just in case I totally screw up all the other ones. All right, so you can see that I cracked the egg right into the middle, and it did pretty good. It is staying there, so that is good. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other three now as well. All right, so I got the eggs in there, did pretty good. You can see the one in the back's a little runny, but overall I feel pretty good about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these into the oven. They go into the oven for 15 minutes or until your desired doneness. The cheese should be melted and the eggs should be cooked. So just remember, you wanna cook the eggs well enough to kill the bacteria that's in there. Okay, so those are in the oven cooking. I just wanted to go over a couple things with you. First is typically I have my kids crack the eggs right into a custard cup first, just to make sure that there are no shells and to make sure it's a good egg. Obviously in this one I cracked them very carefully right into onto the tortilla. So that is an option. Since it is a single egg, if you did happen to get shells in there, it would be easy to take out of there. So it's up to you. I just didn't know how the transfer would go from having it in the bowl and then pouring it into the cheese mound. So I just cracked directly in there. The other thing is, when you're walking to the oven, my oven is not that far away, but you have to be very careful, because as you're carrying the tray, it's moving around. So just walk slowly. I had my oven door opened and the rack pulled out prior to even walking over there, just so I didn't have to maneuver too many things at once. So that's probably a good idea, just to have things ready and then just very carefully and slowly put those in the oven, because you don't want the eggs to move around too much. So the timer is set for 15 minutes. I'm excited to see what they look like in 15 minutes. So I'll be back. All right, so this is after 15 minutes in the oven. They're pretty good. 10 minutes, the white was still really runny, so it wasn't cooked all the way. I might have been able to take them out a minute ago, but everything looks good. It looked cooked, and I'm gonna top them here in a second. So, all right, so I've got it on the plate. My husband and I actually had tacos yesterday, so we have some leftover taco meat, so I'm gonna put that on top. The recipe also said that you could use avocado and salsa, so I'm going to put some taco meat on there, and then I have some salsa to put on as well. Got to grab a spoon, hold on. Got some salsa, little spoonful on there, and it looks pretty good. I'm excited to try it. Enjoy.